Hey everyone, Mr. Fransky here. We're going to be taking a look at one of the review sheets that you have for solving quadratics. And so students will be able to solve quadratic equations by factoring, quadratic formula, and completing the square, our favorite, right? That's CTS. So let's take a look at some of the vocab we're going to be using. Quadratic equation for sure, polynomial, term, factor, completing the square, and quadratic formula. So let's take a look here. So first we're going to solve these by factoring. So to factor, remember we're always looking to use that zero product property. So I'm looking for two things that multiply together to make 0. In this case I need a 5x and an x. That's the only way I can make 5x squared. Now 6 I can make a few different ways. It could be 3 and 2 or 2 and 3. Or it could be 6 and 1 or 1 and 6. Now we're just going to run down the line and see what I would have for the outside and inside terms. I'm trying to make that negative 13. So 5 times 2 is 10. 3 times x is 3. Oh, 10 and 3. I got lucky. It's the first one I wanted. So let's see if I can make that work. So 5 times 2 would be 10. And then I would need to subtract that 3. Oh, actually, if I subtract both of these, it'll make a negative 13, but that would make a positive 6. So I've got to go back to my list. Let's try it the other way. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 2 is 4. 15 and 4 won't make a 13, so that won't work. 5 times 1 is 5. 6 times 1 is 6. That won't work. Let's see here. 30. Did I miss something? Let's see. 10 and 3 minus 10 minus 3. That won't work. 5 times... Oh, I did this wrong. Duh, Mr. Fransky. So here, 3 times 5 is 15. 2 times x is just 2. That's how we got to do it. All right, so 15 and 2 will make me a 13. I got to go all the way down to negative 15, and then I'll come back up 2 to make that negative 13. You can see this really is a trial and error process. Even I mess up sometimes. So now, at this point, I have a couple options. I can just write it out. So 5x plus 2 could be 0. Or x minus 3 is 0. And then we solve separately, right? Subtract 2, divide by 5. X is negative 2/5. Or x is 3. Okay, remember 2 solutions to quadratics because they're parabolas, right? They have 2 solutions most of the time. So let's try the next one. So that couple of options I was talking about, right? We solved them separately. At this point, you might be able to just look at this and get your answer. So I'll kind of lead to that for this next couple. So here we have 3x squared. Minus 24x minus 7 more x is negative 31x, and then plus 56 equals 0. So we have to have it equal to 0 for the zero product property to work. So let's try this. So we got 3x and x. Maybe my parentheses is kind of small there. See if it works. 56. So the first one that comes to mind for me is 7 times 8. So try 7 and 8 and 8 and 7. Those are kind of in the middle. Let's see if we can make that work. 8 times 3 is 24. And 7 times 1 is 7. So 7 and 24 make 31. So let's try 8 and 7. I think if we do minus 8 minus 7, that'll work. So that's going to be a positive 56. And negative 24 minus 7 more gives me negative 31. So now I'm going to see if I can do this without having to solve it out. So x minus 8 equals 0. That means x is 8. Or... over here, this one I might solve out. So 3x minus 7 equals 0, because then that would give me a 0 for the zero product property. Add 7, divide by 3, x equals 7 thirds, excuse me. 7 thirds. There we go. Cool. All right, next one. So we got 7x squared plus 11x, and then minus 3 plus 7 is a plus 4 equals 0. 7x squared got to be 7x and x. 4 could be 2 and 2. Let's see if that works. We would have 14 and 2. Nope, that won't work. So it's got to be 4 and 1, or 1 and 4. The first one gives me a 7 and a 4. That makes 11. So that's our winner. So put in our 4 and our 1. So let's see here. Looks like everything's positive. So positive and a positive. So x could be negative 1. That would make this part 0. Or let's see if we can do this one. I need a 7 on the bottom because that'll cancel with this 7, and then I need a negative 4 left over to cancel out that positive 4. There we go. That's all there is to solving these by factoring. Let's try some with the quadratic formula. So remember, first thing we want to do is write this in standard form. X squared plus 10x minus 20 equals 0. So write out a, b, and c. A is 1 in this case. B is 10. C is negative 20. So we do negative b. Negative 10 plus or minus the square root of b squared, that's 100, minus 4ac, that's plus 80, over 2a, which is 2. That's our x solutions. If you put that into either x here, you'll get your answer. Equals 0, excuse me. So x could be negative 10 plus or minus root 180 over 2. So 180, let's see. Well, 9 definitely goes in there because 9 goes into 18. So should we start there? Let's start there. So x is negative 10 plus or minus. Square root of 9 is 3. Square root of, let's see, would that be 20? Divided by 2. I can do better. I can take a 4 out of 20. So x is negative 10 plus or minus 3 times, let's see, so we have 3 times root 4 times root 5. Root 4 is 2 times 3 is 6. Root 5 over 2. Now, we should split this up. So we have negative 10 over 2, that's negative 5, plus 3 root 5, or negative 5 minus 3 root 5. Got the 3 from 6 over 2, got the 5 from negative 10 over 2. Remember, when you split these things up, you're going to have the 2 underneath each one. All right, let's try this one. So we got 4x squared, going to write it in standard form, plus 6x minus 2 equals 0. So let's try this quadratic formula. So a is 4, b is 6, c is negative 2. So negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac. Let's see, 4 times 4 is 16 times negative 2. That's going to be a plus 32. And that'll all be divided by 8. Okay, so let's see here. We got negative 6 plus or minus the square root. 36 and 32 are 68 divided by 8. So let's see, negative 6 over 8 is negative, what, if I divide them by 4, I'm sorry, 2, negative 3/4. Plus or minus, so root 68, let's see, I can pull a 4 out of that, I believe. 68 is 4 times 16, no, 17. 4 times 17, yep. So this is going to be 2 root 17 over 8, and I can reduce that. So it's negative 3/4 plus 2 root 17 over 4, or negative 3/4 minus root 17 over 4. And there are solutions. Cool. All right, a couple more. So this one is already in standard form for us, and I realized on that last one I could have pulled out a 2, right? I could have divided everything by 2. We'd have 2x squared plus 3x minus 1. That would have been a little simpler for the math. I wouldn't have had to divide it by 2 for all the things at the end there. All right, so here we go. A is 9, B is negative 3, C is 7. So we got negative b, positive 3, plus or minus the square root b squared is 9, minus 4ac. So that's going to be 4 times 7 is 28. 28 times 9 is 28 shy of 280. So that's going to be, let's see, 52. I think that was right. And that's all divided by 2a, which is 18. So 3/18 is 1/6. Plus or minus, square root of 9 minus 52, that is square root of negative 243, all divided by 18. So 243, I kind of have that number in my mind. I think that is 3 to the 5th power. So if I think about it that way, then I think, well, I can take 4 of those out. 3 to the 4th is 81. Okay, so this is 1/6. Plus or minus I, root 81, times root 3, divided by 18. So root 81 is 9. 9/18 is 1/2. So we got 1/6 plus I root 3 over 2, or 1/6 minus I root 3 over 2. Cool. All right, next one, we got to put this into standard form. We got 8x squared plus 9x minus 9 equals 0. So let's see if we can do this. So a is 8, b is 9, c is negative 9. So we got negative b plus or minus square root b squared is 81 minus 4ac. Let's see, 8 times 9 is 72 times 4, 288, I believe. So we got 81 plus, because it's a negative 288, all over 2a, which is 16. So that's negative 8. Well, let's do this. So negative 8/16 is negative 1/2. Plus or minus square root of 81 and 288 are 369. Ah, that's a nice number. 369 divided by 16. I guess it's not as nice as I thought. I was thinking 169, which is divisible by, or it's 13 squared. So negative 1/2, plus or minus, let's see, 369. 369, I think 9 goes into that, because 6 plus 9 is 15, 16, 17, 18. So 9 must have to somehow go into that. So let's see here. 9 times 40 would be 360. So this is 41 to get to 369. So we have root 9 root 41 divided by 16, negative 1/2, plus or minus 3/16 root 41, or 3 root 41 over 16. Cool. Should really split it up. Negative 1/2 plus 3 root 41 over 16, negative 1/2 minus 3 root 41 over 16. Let's start some completing the square now. So we're written in standard form here, and we don't have a leading coefficient. Thank goodness. So let's move the constant. X squared minus 12x equals 21. Now we already divided by the constant, so we don't have to worry about that. So now we're going to divide this by 2 and square it. Negative 12 divided by 2 squared. That's negative 6 squared is 36. So we add that to both sides. So we have x squared minus 12x plus 36 is equal to 21 plus 36 is 57. So this left side now we should be able to factor to perfect square. It looks like x minus 6 squared equals 57. So x minus 6 could be positive root 57. Or x minus 6 could be negative root 57. Add 6. X is 5 plus root 57. 57, not 58. Or x is equal to, man, this is 6. What am I doing? Alright, or x could be 6 minus root 57. There we go. Alright, let's try the next one. So we're in standard form again. Let's move to 63. So we got x squared plus 18x equals 63. Divide by 2 and square. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Squared is 81. Add it to both sides. So we got x squared plus 18x plus 81 is equal to, let's see, 63 plus 81. That's 144. Oh, that's a nice number. So left side we have x plus 9, x plus 9. And that's equal to 144. Square root both sides. So we have x plus 9 could be positive 12, or x plus 9 could be negative 12. Cool. Now we just add 9. So x could be 21, or x could be negative 3. Nice. Oh, did I mess something up? I added 9. I'm going to say something looks wrong. Should be subtracting 9. So subtract 9 here, x is 3. Subtract 9 here, negative 21. Much better. Okay, sorry about that. All right, a couple more completing the square here. In fact, I think I have even one more slide of them. So if we add 9 here, we have x squared minus 9x plus 8 equals 0. So, completing the square, we move the constant. So we got x squared minus 9x equals negative 8. And now we're going to divide by 2 and square. So we got negative 9 divided by 2, and we're going to square it. So negative 9 divided by 2, that is, when we square it, it's 81 over 4. Okay, so we're going to add that to both sides. So we have x squared minus 9x plus 81 over 4 is equal to, so 8 is 32 fourths plus 81 over 4. Cool. All right, so on the left side, this factors to x plus 9 halves, x minus 9 halves. If you're struggling with the factoring up here, just remember it's always going to be that middle term divided by 2. So it's the same thing both times. Sorry, that should both be negative. Okay, and that's equal to negative 32 and 81. That is 49. Hey, that's a nice number, 49 over 4. So this is x minus 9/2 squared equals 49/4. Now we take the square root of both sides, so x minus 9/2 could be positive 49/4. Or x minus 9/2 could be negative 45/4. And on the left, if we think about this as fourths, that's 18/4. So we're going to add 18/4 to both sides. So x in that case would be, let's see, how many fourths? 18 and 49, 59, 67/4. Doesn't look like that's right. Oh, I forgot to take the derivative. Square root. Gosh, must be tired. Square root of 49/4 is 7/2. So 7/2 or negative 7/2. All right, so now when we add 9/2, this is easier. Gosh, 16/2, x is 8. Or negative 7/2 plus 9/2 is a positive 2/2, which is 1. That's all to it. All right, let's take a look at the next one. So we got 8x squared minus 16x minus 17. We're going to add 7. So we got 8x squared minus 16x minus 10. Yeah. Okay, so this is equal to 0 now. So now we are going to divide everything by 8. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 10/8 is what? Divide by 2, 5/4 equals 0. So let's complete the square. Move the 5/4. So we have x squared minus 2x equals 5/4. And now we divide that negative 2 by 2 and square it. That gives us a positive 1. So we plug that positive, we add that positive 1 to both sides. So we have x squared minus 2x plus 1 equal to 5/4 plus 4/4. So that's 1. So left side is x minus 1 squared. Right side is going to be 9/4. Square root of both sides. X minus 1 is equal to 3/2, or x minus 1 is equal, x minus 1 is equal to negative 3/2. All right, so add 2/2 to both sides. Here x is 5/2, and here x would be negative 1/2. There we go. And that's it. So there might have been a couple more on your sheet. So you can give those a shot if you want to. If you have 12 and 13, 12 I got 3 and negative 1. And 13 I got 1 plus I root 87/3. And I minus I root 87/3. All right, hopefully that was helpful. A little review sheet for you. I will see you guys soon.